It's Daybreak here to ride. It's time for the press preview. A first look at what's on the front pages of the papers. And we do indeed have a surprise for you. By the time we get on with the press preview, you will know what I'm talking about when we start. But we'll first start with our sister publication, and that's his news this day. This day has on the front page, Buhari, Tinubu has track record to lead our party to victory in 2023. Let me read some of the riders here. He's a host candidate. Is assessed presidential primary most competitive, peaceful in nation's history. Buhari, a dependable leader, says Tinubu. Adamu, NWC members pledged to work hard to deliver a candidate. He says it's our project. Actually, Adamu said Tinubu is our project now. Northern APC governors visit standard bearer. A search for running mate begins. Oshibajo Jonathan congratulate ex-governor of Lagos State, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. You can see that picture there. Thank you. Visit to the president by Bola Ahmed Tinubu. 2023, INEC rolls out conditions for submission of presidential governorship candidates. It has two riders there. Despite warning investments, oil financing boosts Nigeria's FDI to $7 billion. That story you can find on page 55. And then on the top mast, you have that FG with traced or war killings to ISWAP. Afenifere urges Buhari to fish out perpetrators. All right. CVR, Igbo's alleged marginalization, claim hoodlums invaded, injured registrants in Lagos. The story is on page 57 of this day. Okay.
Now, the Punch newspaper is leading with Atiku's running mate. PDP raises panel as Wike Okowa lobby for VP slot. Or massacre experts tackle federal government over insecurity and government blames ISWAP. Now, traders shut Lagos market. Utes storm TBS for registration. And Tinubu pays its surprise visit to Vice President Oshibajo. Buhari hosts the APC presidential candidate.
All right, the Nation newspaper. Buhari rallies governors for Tinubu ahead 2023 election. Has two riders there. Primary most competitive, says president in letter to candidate. Bagudu, Abdul Razak, Nduje, Masari, others visit Jagaban Bogu of, that's the former governor of Lagos State, in case you don't know who Jagaban is. Ekiti 2022 APC Grand Rally for Tuesday. Federal government links our church attack to ISWAP. 83-year-old joins race for a Alafi throne. 140 suspected Yahoo boys arrested in 2 Lagos hotels. Friday deadline to submit candidates list. And you see the picture there, the president in a handshake with APC's flag bearer, Bola Tinubu.
And the Tribune is leading with ISWAP behind our church massacre. That's according to the federal government. INEC solicits NAP support to airlift electoral materials and personnel. Angry youths in Lagos burn over 20 motorcycles over pedestrian's death. That's on page 27. Kaduna government confirms killing of 32 villagers in yet another attack. Sad. And Tinubu APC Northern Governors meet. VP slot tops discussion.
Yeah, indeed. Let's look at the foreign papers. The Guardian. Low-paid care workers can't afford petrol to get to work. Footage of violence at Paris final was deleted.
The Daily Express, millions giving chance to buy own home in the UK.
Independent. This is strange. It says Britons face execution after Russian show trial.
And this is the British men sentenced to death in show trial.
Yeah, that's the... And the Financial Times, Sunak lost 11 billion pounds of taxpayer cash in debt blunder, say economists.
This is the times, if we haven't gone through that, have we?
Yeah.
Drivers join rail strikes as ballots set to spread, and British pair sentenced to death in Ukraine.
All right, it's time now to bring in Emmanuel Bello Ichie one of, I don't know which part of Igbo land that he went to get his title. You can look at him and see the red cap. Quite interesting. Ichie, you're welcome to
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning to you. Good morning. All right, this day, Tinubu has track record to lead the party to victory in 2023. What do you make of that statement by the president?
Well, yeah, it's a victory dance and victory lap dance by the ruling party, and of course the president. You know, and you must give it to the APC for that primaries. I mean, you can say a whole lot of things happened there, but it has a semblance of democracy. At least comes close to what looks like a democracy. And kudos to the president for not imposing the successor he was talking about. And right now, you ask yourself whether this is the man that is his successor, because he spoke so strongly about someone that he wanted. But whatever it is, we are seeing pitching for, rooting for this president, for this candidate now. That's what sitting presidents do. They try to market the candidates. It's proper that they market their candidate, because they don't want a legacy of failure. So for those who doubt Buhari, when he say he was going to be the leader of the party, he has nobody in mind, and all of that. Maybe this is his own way of showing. And now everybody is saying something nice about Tinubu, really out his records, what he can do. So this is just classic of presidents all over the world to market their candidate and bring out those final points that we make for good buying by the electorate. So, for instance, talking about Bola Tinubu, the president is saying that, look, he's got what it takes, and he's pointing to those records. A lot of people have fact-checked on those records and say, well, yes, he did some magnificent things in Lagos. What will happen now is whether he can still have the same, the same capacity to
replicate it
nationally and ensure that he turned, in his own speech to Bola Tinubu acceptance speech, he said he will, what he did in Lagos, Lagos becoming the 5th largest economy in Africa, that he's sure he can make, he can actually replicate that or repeat that in the wider sense. It's something that economists, analysts, and the rest of us who talk about this need to fact check and ask ourselves whether this version of Bola Tinubu, does he have all it takes, and those track records are they strong enough to tip it to his side. But now everybody is saying good thing, and he's had a busy 24 hours yesterday, doing all the right things, visiting all the right people, practically mending fences. We saw footages of him at the vice president, which is very heartwarming. I mean, his protege that ran against him, beautiful story there, and then not only that, so all sorts of people, the party leadership also saying nice things about them. So he's actually, hit off on a good note, and it seems to be going well. Could be the easiest part as we head into the weekend. More tougher days ahead of Bola Tinubu, especially with the issue of the running mate.
And then what to describe him as our project. That's the way he put it. Okay.
But initially his project was
with someone else.
Well,
I mean, something else that happened is Tinubu's released an economic plan. And earlier we had a specialist, Abayomi Famwahimi, talking about this on other shows. But let's look at Nigerian president's performance, GDP performance since 1999. And as we can see, the former president Olusegun Obasanjo, between the period while he was in president, I mean, you can see the graphics on the screen. Now, Emmanuel, this is to emphasize the importance of the vice presidents, because Obasanjo picked up Yar'Adua, and he took over from him. And when Yar'Adua sadly passed on, his vice took over. And there is the result of his performance before the next president came in. You want to talk to us about Tinubu's likely vice president, and what are we hearing about the vice president in the PDP? Likely vice president, rather.
Well, the PDP in particular, because I mean that one too seems to be a bit troubling for many people. Two names are starting to come up: that of the governor of Delta State and Rivers State, and we've discussed this, Kenneth, here in the past. That look, you will need a vice president, just like you pointed out. You will need a vice president that can interpret very well. The vice president is as important in most cases as the president, and whoever you're picking as running mate right now must reflect first the character of this country, must look like Nigeria itself. So those who talk about Muslim tickets as contemplated by the APC side are actually toying with something very, very serious. There are people saying you shouldn't do that. So look up to the north for people like, Yakubu Dogara, former speaker, or is it the Lalongs of this world, Boss Mustafa, one in the party who are also Christians, that look, you need that balancing act more than now with the war killings and the strong religious tenor of the country right now and the emotions around. You cannot play with this balancing act. But for Atiku too, that is very, very important because he's already a northerner. He's a Muslim. And a lot of people believe that he has to look southward to be able to actually, even for now, meet the challenge, the APC challenge of actually bringing a southerner as the party flag bearer. So for Atiku, yes, that is, he has no option but to really look towards that direction. Like I said, Okowa's name is there. Odom Emmanuel too has been touted in the past, and then of course Wike. Now, Kenneth, to your point, you need a vice president that can support you, the vice president that can actually uplift whatever it is you're doing in case you are away. And the vice president is very important because, like I said yesterday, he's just hard beat away from being the president himself. So a lot of people have looked at that to say, look, it's going to shape the race too, who these people pick, who those people are, and why they are picking them. All that is going to actually be part and parcel of the election. So we can say that the issue of the vice president is on the ballot right now because it's going to be a strong marketing tool or marketing tool for both candidates. And as a matter of fact, candidates of other party, people would like to see, because that's the very first decision the candidate is making, the flag bearer is making. So that decision, the quality of that decision, what it means, the interpretation of that decision will also tell a lot about the kind of president we are hoping the person will be. So that's why it's a very serious decision, and that's why a whole lot of meetings are going on around the issue. Both sides are thinking through all the options and trying to see what they can do to ensure that they have the right person at the end of the day as the running mate.
All right, interesting. You look at this picture on the Punch. Tinubu pays a surprise visit to Oshibajo. Buhari hosted him and all that. And I read something on Tinubu yesterday where he talked about he prepares ahead for reunion and forgiveness even before it happens, talking about leadership and how leaders should have a large heart and should be able to contain all shades, both those against and those for. What do you make of this surprise visit?
Well, you know, the politician that Tinubu is, it's not just about forgiveness, I guess. I think it's strategy too. I think it's about building, bridges. He will need everybody right now. He needs all of that. So if he's going to have his pound of flesh, might not just be now. I mean, no serious, serious seeker of power would do that now. Will fight at this level. It's time to actually forgive who you can forgive, even if it's just a veneer of it, even if it's just, yes, even if it's just a show. It's not the time to take his pound of flesh. But some of the things he said, even at the primaries, after winning, he said, look, the crouching of, or the sitting, the lying down of a cat is not a pretension of death, but that it's just getting ready to pounce. So I will not second guess. I will not predict what will happen, but I do not think that it is all about forgiveness. I think it's more of strategy. It's more of political expediency. It's more of what he needs to do to build those bridges and to ensure that, look, he has everybody on board. Those who worked for him, those who didn't work for him. That's what candidates do. They try to rally the base before the election. After that, you never can tell what they will do.
Manuel, you're talking like a politician. Indeed. I remember Marlon Brando and the way they act as if nothing is happening, but afterwards they'll take their pound of flesh. We watch and see what happens. Quite a good comment and a good way to put it there.
Thank you, Emmanuel. Yeah.